Greetings, Dr. Will here. Welcome back to the serialization of What You Don't Know, Successfully Lead a Software Project Without Tech Expertise. Episode 26, Chapter 11, How to Keep a Handle on It All, Criticality of Configuration Management, Part 2.
Phew! Why all the complexity? Sounds elaborate and expensive. Developers should just write the code and be done with it, and that is often the approach. And except for trivial applications, it always ends the same way. An unsupportable mass of code that will become increasingly rickety with each change until one change makes the whole thing stop working. Quote from Jerry Weinberg. Weinberg's second law. Quote, if builders build buildings the way programmers wrote programs, then the first woodpecker that came along would destroy civilization. Close quote. Configuration management systems have grown up as the problems being solved by software systems have grown in complexity. CM systems exist to improve on the code and fixed model that was the subject of Weinberg's second law. Process. Relevant process questions that a configuration management system addresses are, first, how does an organization identify, manage many existing software versions to efficiently accommodate change? Well, at a minimum, there is a version deployed to the field and the version currently being worked on to fix defects and add new features. There may be several different versions being worked on to develop different feature sets. Second, how does an organization control changes before and after the software is released? Well, a change is requested as either a new feature or the report of a defect experienced in practice or uncovered during testing. That change request should be scoped and then scheduled for attention. The scope of this change request is the estimate of the time and expense of making the change. It often also indicates which parts or components of the system need to be changed. Next, who has responsibility for improving and prioritizing changes? Well, a formal process for large, expensive software systems may have a configuration control board, which is a group of senior leaders and staff who manage and approve or disapprove changes to the system. On a smaller scale, the person paying the bills should be consulted about what should be a priority. Next, how to assure changes are correctly made. Well, this is in part a quality assurance question. More broadly, it should define which, if any, artifacts will be produced or modified. Adding a new feature might or should have a documented definition of its requirements and may need a reasonable amount of design to ensure correct implementation. Identifying how much ceremony is required for a given change. How to appraise others of changes. All stakeholders of a particular change should be notified when the change is made. They may be notified during the development process to help ensure that the correct change is being made correctly. The tasks that have to be performed by the configuration management system include the identification of the artifacts that are under control, assigning and controlling their versioning, managing and controlling the changes to them, and auditing and reporting the configuration status. There are two basic types of objects managed by the configuration management system. Basic objects, which is a unitary whole that has been created by a developer during analysis, design, coding, or testing, or an artifact. And then aggregate objects, which are collections of basic objects and other aggregate objects. The development of a system is an iterative process that creates and then refines and evolves the artifacts associated with the system. The evolution can be represented as an evolution graph describing the object's change history. Version control combines procedures and tools to manage different versions of configuration objects created during the software engineering process. Change control combines human procedures and automated tools to provide a mechanism for the control of change. Management. Prior to establishing the first baseline, the change control process is informal. Once a baseline is established, however, project-level change control is enacted. Project management ensures the baseline is managed and maintained. Upon delivery to the customer, formal change control processes must be in place. Without formal change management and configuration control, system elements that conflict with other parts of the system or break them may be developed and delivered. Agile methods with their rapid development cycles rely on automated change control and continuous integration and continuous delivery (CI/CD) mechanisms. This means an early formal change control process and the overhead that implies. Contracting software development to one contractor organization should mean that their team's standard change control process should continue to be used along with their other defined software development processes. It is useful to ask them to describe those processes. Using more than one contractor, and especially contractors geographically distributed across the globe with different time zones, languages, cultures, etc., means that common configuration management tools and processes must be agreed upon before development begins. Dispersed teams need more formality and ceremony, not less. How change requests are handled and who has change control authority are crucial questions. Also, the structure of any formal engineering change order, ECO, that describes a change to be made, any constraints on the change, the criteria for review and audit, and the criteria for acceptance must be defined.
That ends Chapter 11, How to Keep a Handle on It All, Criticality of Configuration Management. Join us next time for Episode 27, Part 1 of Chapter 12, Keeping All the Balls in the Air, Managing the Software Project. That's it for me, for you, for now. Be careful out there. Bye.